What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcasts. Live your best life. You must live label free. As always, bringing you incredible guests. My next guest is an IT professional, a mother, and now an author. Her first book is A Girl and a Knife, and her debut and her first in a series of Hearts and Sales. Please welcome Alina Rubin, originally from Ukraine, but she's now here in the United States, joining us to tell us about this amazing book. So welcome, Alina. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You are definitely probably another boss babe in my tribe, type A all the way. So tell us a little bit about your journey becoming an author.
Well, independent author, you definitely do need to be a boss babe, even if you never planned to be. All I just wanted was to write a book. I had some ideas in my head and I just wanted to write, but then this publishing and all that process, you kind of find yourself to be in this entrepreneur shoes. So yeah, the book is called A Girl with a Knife, and it's a historical fiction type of novel. So with the pandemic, probably like many of you, had a little more time, didn't have to commute to work into my IT job. And I started watching more TV, and it was historical fiction series that really captured my mind. The Downton Abbey, the Outlander, all those popular series. But the one that suddenly really made me interested was called Hornblower, which is just 8 episodes, old British series from 2000s. And it's all like warfare, British ships fighting with the French.
Wow.
Pretty much no women characters. And suddenly I envisioned this young woman who could be a doctor on the ship, and maybe she's saving this young man. And kind of idea really started in my head. I started thinking of more adventures about her. And all of a sudden, one morning in February of 2021, I woke up and it was like something in the universe telling me, you're supposed to be writing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went and started typing away, and I felt so happy. I was like,
Good.
this is what, I guess something is telling me this is what I was meant to be doing. And I had no idea about this. And that's kind of how it started. I wrote this whole manuscript. I started showing to my friends, and they were like, oh, this is cool. This is like a nice adventure. It's very interesting. And then I started, asking, okay, so I have a manuscript. What am I supposed to be doing next? How does this become a book? And I got different answers. Somebody said you bring it to an editor. Somebody else said you going to query to go traditional publishing. And somebody else said first you show it to beta readers, to somebody who knows the genre and can give you independent advice, not just your friends.
Sure.
So I did the two things. I sent the manuscript to the beta reader I could find who published some books. And second, I sent it to the editor that I was thinking to hire and be independent writer. I did not think to go into traditional publishing and query. Kind of the advice I got from people is that you can have a book much faster if you go independently, and as long as you are not fearful of making decisions yourself and choosing the cover and choosing the editor, kind of taking, and investing some money into this.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we have so many resources at our fingertips for everything. And it blows my mind sometimes when people ask me a question that they could easily look up on Google. I'm like, we all have a mini computer in our pocket. So, I before we started recording, I did say that I'm interested in start to writing a book for the podcast. And I've done a lot of research myself. And so it is a lengthy process though. So how long did it take you from start to finish to get your book published?
So before I answer that, let me continue kind of what happened when I sent
go ahead.
the manuscript to the editor and the bidder. So I spent 3 months writing this book without really knowing too much about writing.
Okay.
So the first thing that came from my beta reader was kind of questioning. Well, she kind of said, I'm not going to say it's bad because you have some, she called it bones of a good story, but it does not fit. All the pieces are not fitting as well as they think they should in a novel, and it doesn't have the flow that most authors have yet, where every sentence sounds so nice. And plus, your main character, Ella, how does she become a doctor? Because this is 1800s England, a woman cannot be a doctor. What I said is kind of like she had this mentor and he wrote a letter to medical school and they accepted her. And she said, that's not believable, and good fiction is believable. You really need to make a case how a woman could become a doctor at the time where they really cannot be. doctor. So that was kind of one hard truth. A second came from the editors because he said, not everybody editor is going to say what I'm going to say to you. Somebody's going to just say, hey, write me a check and we're going to start working. But
Right.
I'm telling you, you're not ready. You need to spend more time on, self-editing, making it sound better. She didn't even read the whole thing. It was just the first 5 pages.
Yeah.
Like, look at every sentence. Look why do you have so many sentences starting with a she? She got up, she went, she took something. Work at it. Make every sentence sounds interesting. Vary them. Look at your rhythm, and maybe take some writing classes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, oh wow, I didn't even
Yeah.
that, and I was kind of, in a way, it was kind of sad. Like, wow, I was gonna, work with this lady. I was gonna pay her, and she doesn't want it. But on the other hand, like, what a good lesson to
Yeah.
kind of to turn around. And so for like a few days, I was a little kind of crushed, and I was like,
Yeah,
where do
I
I
would
go
be.
now? It took some thinking, what's to do. And then I kind of like realized that no, what my beta reader told me about thinking of the believable idea, that's a key here. And when I really started brainstorming what my character could do, I came up with a story that what if she dresses up as a man and goes to medical school? And I
Yes.
immediately thought, what, that sounds like a great idea. And I actually researched and started looking for, have people done that? And yes, there was a really person in history who has done this. James Barry, all his life, was a famous doctor around that time. And only at his death, people found out that this was a woman all along.
Wow. That's very
So
interesting.
yeah, I
Okay.
found, well, that's interesting plus believable. So because
Yes.
people have done this. And immediately my mind was like, oh, what is she going to do in medical school? She could do surgery, she could do rounds, with your teacher. She may have a best friend, she may have an enemy, you know,
Yeah.
all these ideas kind of were meeting in my brain. And so I just started writing all over again, new idea, new book. But I realized what I've done before that is not a waste of time either, because
No.
eventually she will become a doctor, and that's a series. She will have those adventures and save those people. So,
Oh,
um,
wow. So that's how, so you wrote your first book, and then because of that first book, it birthed a whole series of books to tell the full story. Well, that's
yeah,
very cool. And
yeah.
so now, so you are a mother you have a family. How did your family react to you becoming an author? Because you ultimately are becoming a public figure.
They were really excited. And I don't think they have really discussed about being a public figure because not every author gets very well known. I think, in fact, it's we're kind of in the shadows. Not everybody, even if you heard the name, wouldn't probably know what the author looks like. But it was more like they were excited and giving me time to write. My daughter's 10 years old, was super excited and
Aw.
wanted to start writing herself. So she made some effort to start writing, and she wrote a poem, she wrote a short story, and she was trying to give me ideas for my book as well.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. And so now, have you always had a love for fiction?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
been a reader since I was a little girl, and especially fiction. And I think historical fiction was always kind of tugging my heart more.
What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Can we get a round of applause today? Woo! Today I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. And let me tell you something. Oh, it smells so good. My man wears this every day. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy. So I've had other authors on the show that wrote fiction, and I just feel like that takes so much creativity to really dive into that side of your brain where you can come up with the stories that is going to captivate your audience. And so do you have a certain creative process that you use to keep yourself inspired to continue writing the story?
I think the key is that I write every day and I get up early before work, before I look at my phone, before anything. I get out of bed, get myself ready, do some yoga, do a little maybe walking, and then I start get my coffee because it's
Yeah.
like 5:30 a.m. and I
Yeah.
start writing every day until it's time to get my daughter up for school. And I
Oh,
think
wow.
that's my most productive time, before I think of anything else. Some days are better than others. Some days I have
Sure.
just a few words. Some days I have lots of words, but something goes down on the page, and it always amazes me how much I don't know what I'm gonna write. Like I think I'm just writing a simple scene, but you never know what the character is gonna do. Literally,
Oh,
like suddenly
wow.
the idea comes. I see Ella doing something different. I see her standing up and saying something, and just the scene goes a different way.
So you can see it in your mind and you just put it down on paper.
Yes.
How cool is that? And so now
Mhm.
how many books do you suspect to write with this series?
I have so I have book one published. Book two is first draft almost done, and the books and the manuscript that I wrote in the beginning, I think that's becoming books three, four, and five.
Oh, wow,
Plus,
really?
and I have a big idea for book six.
Wow, look at you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So where can people find this book of yours and can you put it up and tell us the name again?
Okay, so it's A Girl with a Knife by Alina Rubin. They can Amazon, but also bookshop.org. If you want to support the independent shops, please go to bookshop.org and buy it there. barnesandnobles.com. In Illinois, there's a small store, Book Bin in Northbrook. They have not
Okay.
physically. You can buy the
Are
paperback
are you
there.
are you located here in Illinois?
I'm in Niles.
Oh my goodness, we could have done this in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
Great.
could have done this in person. That would have been better. But okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yep. So, I very much like supporting small stores. So bookshop.org and the Book Bin the Niles is a first choice. But if you're far away, you're not near any bookstore, then Amazon. And
Yeah.
if you want an ebook, then you need to go to Amazon.
Okay, now can people go to your website to get it? So I know you have a website. Can you please plug that as well?
Sure, it's alinarubinauthor.com. There you will find all the links to all the stores.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Well, very exciting. So you are an IT professional by day, right? And so how
Yes.
do you manage, and that's very like logical type of stuff.
Mhm.
So how do you switch from being like in a logical professional to such a creative artist?
Well, I think that's why I have to write before I start
Before
my IT job. I have to do my fantasy first, and then I get into spreadsheets and emails and reports and all that. And I usually have some relaxing music playing in the background. I'm still working from home, even ever since the pandemic. We kind of
okay. Oh, that's
decided that
nice.
we're gonna stay at home, so that works out well for me. So just kind of concentration, maybe using the different part of our brains to solve problems at work and to do. I do a lot of writing for work as well, but it's technical writing where
Right.
we
Very
write,
different.
which is I think why it took me so long to get into fiction, because I always thought of writing as tedious, as dry, as very,
Yeah.
you know, clear, just kind of giving them exactly the message, the technical explanation, and I was never thinking about all the fun they could have with fiction, which I so much enjoy reading.
So if someone wanted to become an author and start writing a book, what's some advice that you give them if they're just starting out?
So first advice, just start writing and turn off your inner critic.
Mm,
There's no bad writing. There's nothing boring when you're starting the first draft, and don't compare yourself to somebody else's finished book,
yeah.
because a book has been edited and re-edited by the author and by the editor and by some other people.
Yeah.
Because so that's a masterpiece you cannot compare your first draft with. Even the masters don't. They don't write like
Sure.
one full draft in the beginning. You
Yeah.
have to takes a lot of work. So just start writing and without judging yourself. Later you're gonna kind of figure out the best parts and what to remove. And once you kind of have something, you have maybe a story, maybe most of your manuscript, get into, there are a lot of great classes online. and they're great books. So my favorite books on writing are Stephen King's On Writing, Jessica Brodi's Save the Cat writes a novel, and Harmony Kent, Polishing Your Prose. So those,
Okay.
I've read many more, but to me, those three always stand out as the best advice on writing.
That's fantastic. And so when after they go maybe read the book or take a class, what would be the next step for them to get to the next phase in the process of publishing a book?
Once you have a manuscript, first take a little break from it. Maybe write some blog post, just read, write a short story, do something to distract. It doesn't mean that you have to stop writing completely, but don't keep looking at your manuscript for it. I usually say a week. Some people do more. Stephen King actually said 6 months. I've never done
Oh,
that long, but
wow. That's a long time.
yeah, but I guess whatever you feel, once you feel that you are not so attached to your story and you are completely willing to change and remove anything in your
Yeah.
story, because you're going to make some sacrifices, and some of them they should not be painful. Just if you see that this chapter is kind of boring, remove it. If this character is overshadowing the main character, change it. If maybe something you found is not historically accurate, and
Yeah.
you need to make changes because of that, you'll need to do that.
Excellent.
So you take a break and then come back to revising. You look at every sentence, read it out loud, or have a computer, have a person read it to you out loud to see how things sound and make some variation to make things sound better. And then find beta readers. Usually in different writing groups, you can find people who are willing to switch manuscripts with you. And then you don't have to pay for beta readers. I find you learn a lot from other people, and you make
Sure.
connections with another writer who wants to publish their book. So get a lot of advice from them. It's amazing the things that people pick out when
Yeah.
you thought you have a strong story, and they say, how is she doing this when you said she's supposed to be in the kitchen? Why is she
Yeah.
having breakfast when it's supposed to be night, or something like that? It's
Yeah.
amazing the little things you could miss, or sometimes even big things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's some great advice. So again, before I know I already asked for your website, but where can people follow you, connect with you, and learn more? So your website, any social media handles, what are
Social
those?
media handles for sure. It's uh, my Facebook, Alina Rubin Author, and Instagram, also Alina Rubin Author. Also, I love getting emails, alina@alinarubinauthor.com. And you can also be added to my newsletter and I publish a newsletter once a month. So all those ways, please connect with me. I love hearing from readers.
Excellent. You guys, I'm going to put all those links in the show notes, so don't hesitate to go follow, connect with Alina. She would love your support, or buy the purchase the books, go to her website, and go, if you're a fan of fiction, go grab that book and give her some love. So before we start wrapping things up, I always like to ask for words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with the audience today?
So one kind of story touching, if you want to write, just go ahead and write. If you're a reader, think about supporting indie writers. And when you come into Barnes and Nobles, it's not the indie writers you immediately see. You see the kind of well-supported, traditionally published authors. You may have to ask in a smaller store, in an indie store, or ask at the writing groups, kind of ask where the indie books are, or maybe local authors. So go
Yeah,
ahead and check out. You may find yourself in the section of the store you've never been to before, but you'll find maybe some hidden gems from indie authors, and see how
I,
they compare to other books that you're reading. And maybe if you're doing a book club, invite a local indie author to your book club, and give support to indie authors. And if you want to write, best of luck to you. Connect with me. I'd love to help in any way I can. I've kind of tried to support as many indie authors as I can, beta reading, with advice, marketing advice. Writers are very warm and supporting communities, because we do not compete with each other. Readers
yeah,
can read all of our books. So
yeah,
we
that's
try to
true.
help each other with our knowledge.
That's great. And I love how passionate and how you just are lighting up talking about it. So that's awesome to see that you found your passion in life and found where you're headed. And I'm sure we can't wait to see more books from you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a guest today, Alina. We'll look forward to that second book coming out. We'll have to have you back to update the audience and let them know what the name of that book is.
Actually, I already have the book. The title will be No Job for a Woman.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right, you guys, No Job for a Woman. We don't like that these days, but we're going to check that book out when she releases it. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcasts. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.